This is Ellie. And this is Eric. I don't know why I gave them both names that started with an E, because I didn't get them at the same time and they're not meant to be like related or anything like that. But yeah, so as you could probably tell, Eric is quite difficult to hold because he is fucking fat. And I do want to try and make this comparison like as fair as possible, as like objective as possible. And I have a small shark and a big bear. So obviously that will kind of influence my opinion somewhat. I don't know, this is the other thing as well, I don't quite know how to pronounce them correctly. Obviously it's Swedish, I haven't looked it up, I probably should have done. I don't know Swedish. But yeah, so I will probably just call them by their names for most of the videos. The Blåhaj is called Ellie, and this is the smaller one. They obviously come in multiple sizes, the same basic, torpedo teardrop shape, designed for perfect aerodynamics, moving through the water incredibly fast. This is the small one. Very, very convenient to tuck under your arm or, bonk someone over the head with. That, perfect purpose for that. Whereas this boy is very rotund, very large. He is the djungelskog, and this is the big version. The small version, I think, is like quite a bit smaller than this. I don't know, I've never had one. Or I have had like a bigger version of this before. I say had, I've not owned it. My brother's got one, but he's at uni in a minute. And in our first year of uni, we had both the big versions of these. We had the shark first, and the shark was called Jeffrey, and short for Jeffrey Bezos for some reason. And then we got the big bear, and we called the bear Marcus, short for Marcus Zuckerberg. I don't know why we decided to do that. They mysteriously disappeared after first year. I think possibly someone threw up and they might have got a little bit contaminated, and then we never saw them again, which is a shame. But yeah, the point is the big version of this is like similar in size to this, but I think the small version of this is a bit smaller than this. I'm not sure, and it's annoying that I don't have them of equal sizes, but like I said, I'll try and do a fair comparison. But anyway, this fellow, as you can see, very rotund, taking up almost all of the camera space at the minute. And if we take a side on, like I mentioned with the shark, we have a lovely teardrop shape, kind of perfectly designed for aerodynamics and all of that. On the flip side, with Eric, with djungelskog, we have, as you can see, the curvature of the spine, which is just beautiful, and the lovely round belly, and then it coming up to his head forms the perfect, like golden ratio shape. You know what I mean? This the sort of spiral shape, the golden ratio thing in maths. Yeah, he's a brilliant shape for that as well. So obviously both are an excellent shape, very well thought out. I would say the bigger version of djungelskog is lovely as like a companion to rest your head on or something like that. And also if you rest your head on the top of his belly, he rests his head on top of you, which is really nice. I like that. I think for cuddling, he's quite, large. I feel like I don't want to squeeze him too hard because otherwise he might explode. But the bigger shark, in terms of for cuddling, is superb. So I think that's definitely a pro in the favour of the Blåhaj. Now let's talk about the face. So as you can see, we have a sort of agape mouth. I get the feeling that Ellie doesn't really know anything about anything at all. And I mean, if you look at like from this angle, like sort of from the side, from there, it's quite friendly. From here, still quite friendly, but also rather dumb. So I think nothing going on in here. The teeth are nice. The teeth are sort of all over the place. Ellie has quite wonky teeth, I think. I think the overall expression is one of bafflement, and that is quite cool. If we go to Eric, I think the expression on his face is more just sort of like standard, toy bear and all of that. But I think the expression is really made when he sits down. So if I just hold him from underneath, as you can see, his neck is not strong. His neck is very weak, and as such, he rests his head on his belly, and he looks either very depressed or very full from eating. And I like to think of him as not being depressed, because that's not a good thing to be. But he could be just very tired, which I extremely relate to. And he even sort of sinks into his own belly, which is very, very amusing, and I like it a lot. And when you hold him up by the shoulders, his head just sort of droops forward still. If I hold him upside down, I mean, like, look at this. He's having fun. And again, from the side, the side perspective, very excellent shape. Whereas I think with Ellie, if you like, the shape isn't really affected whatever way you hold her up. Obviously, like, you know that event in the Olympics, so is it like the hammer throw or something, where they like swing round? You can grab the tail and properly like swing, and it's very, very good. To be fair, for these sizes, the big Eric being large and Ellie being small, they do fit together quite nicely. That looks very cool. It does a bit in isolation look like Eric has just caught a rather large fish to eat, which, judging by the state of him, has probably happened before. They do fit together very nicely, which is very cool. So to sum up, pros and cons. Pros, very nice aerodynamic shape. Baffled look is very cool, and the small size is still a decent size for bashing people on the head. Cons, I'm not going to do it now, but it doesn't look quite as good when you've like squished her face in, which I know some people do, which is not very nice. And also like limited kind of movement and expressibility. Like she can sort of do a dance, but that's about it, right? The fins, like, they don't do masses. They're quite small. Then, like, I guess that's part of like how a shark is. But yeah, pretty standard, pretty good, just solid across the board. And yeah, brilliant shape. I think that's my favourite thing, the shape for bashing people on the head and all of that. Whereas pros and cons with Eric. Pros, very large, excellent, large belly, very nice to hold. And like I said, my favourite thing as well, the golden ratio shape. That's why the belly is fantastic. Expressive, even though the face might not suggest it at first, you know, sitting like this versus being upside down and having a good time. Very large, very comfortable, great as a pillow, and this is sort of great as like another thing to just kind of hold. Like I said, I haven't had any experience with the small one, so that might be inducing like a sort of personal bias, but but I think overall, and this might come as a bit of a shock to some people, I think I prefer djungelskog to Blåhaj. And that's no, I promise this is not transphobia from me. I know this is the symbol of like trans people everywhere, and yes, excellent, love it for that. But Eric is just so nice. Like, look at him. He's incredible. I realize I keep going to put Ellie down because it's convenient, and also because I kind of need two hands to hold Eric most of the time. But yeah, it's a very narrow victory for Eric on this occasion. I think if I had both of them like the same size, both of the big ones or both of the small ones, or even all four to compare, then maybe we might have slightly different outcomes. I don't know. If anyone wants to help me invest in the bigger shark and the smaller bear, then that would be greatly appreciated, of course. Yeah, obviously I love them both equally. They are both fantastic, and they are both very lovely, fantastic shapes, and great for holding, and also, in Ellie's case, for bashing people around the head. So there we are, that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow.